Enough is enough. This has to stop, and it will stop.
About a week after Premier Doug Ford promised his government would crack down on encampments, he revealed how, in a piece of legislation that won't be passed until the new year. It includes $77.5 million in spending to boost shelter space and build affordable housing, and the bill makes it so that service providers who receive government funding will have to report back on how many people have been moved out of encampments, while also punishing those living in them.
These new measures include amendments to the Trespass to Property Act to enhance penalties for people who deliberately and repeatedly break the law. The legislation will also make it crystal clear that it is illegal to use illicit drugs in a public space, including encampments.
There would be new aggravating factors for those who trespass in parks or vacant land, like continuous trespassing and the likelihood to reoffend, which would be taken into account during court sentencing. And those who use drugs in encampments could face fines of up to $10,000 or 6 months in prison.
If someone has $10,000 to pay a fine, I doubt they're living in a park. It is cheaper to find a permanent home for someone than it is to send them to jail, and it's a lot more effective in getting them to rebuild their lives. This government's priorities are all wrong.
The new legislation comes after several mayors sent Premier Ford a letter asking him to crack down on encampments and introduce mandatory addiction treatment, something one advocate is relieved wasn't part of the announcement, though there are other issues.
In terms of the actual money that is going to be distributed here, it's a pittance. It's a pittance. It is not enough for an entire province, let alone for one mid-sized municipality. We're talking about less than $150 million to create new shelters, to create long-term affordable housing units. There's nothing there that will substantially make any kind of difference.
That advocate also notes the letter to Ford only included about a dozen mayors, and there are more than 400 municipalities in Ontario. And the mayors of some large ones, like Toronto and Ottawa, didn't sign on. Thursday also marks the last day the legislature will sit at Queen's Park in 2024. Because the House is rising until March, the Ford government won't have to answer opposition questions on this legislation for months. Lane Harrison, CBC News, Toronto.